Welcome to Sum of Reality, where we explore the unexplained, the unusual, and the unsolved. With a blend of true crime, unsolved mysteries, and strange events, our channel is the perfect destination for anyone interested in the darker side of life. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate our notification bell. In a quiet neighborhood, nestled among the streets of Hawalle, a chilling secret lay hidden. For years, an unknown offender had been preying upon the innocent children in the area, leaving a trail of trauma and fear in their wake. The culprit's identity was unknown, and as the days passed, the community's anxiety only grew. In the Al-Khalij area of Kuwait in 2006, a 10-year-old boy named Muhammad left his house to go to the supermarket. Along the way, a man called out to him and asked him for the address to an apartment. In all innocence, Muhammad went with him to show him the way. They eventually ended up in an elevator, and suddenly, without warning, the man took a knife out of his pocket and placed it on Muhammad's neck, threatening him that he would kill him if he made any noise. The man directed the elevator to the roof. He pulled the child along with him, trying to sexually assault Muhammad while Muhammad was screaming, crying, and repeatedly saying, "No, uncle, this is wrong." The man slapped him and placed the knife back on his neck. He threatened him again, telling him to stay quiet. After the assault, the man warned the child not to go down to the lower floors until an hour had passed. The man warned the child not to try to go downstairs before an hour was up, stating that he would kill him if he did. The man then left, and the child remained on the roof, crying and terrified for an hour. Once the boy was sure the man was gone, he gathered his courage and left the building. He started watching the building from outside, and shortly afterwards he ran towards his home and informed his family about what had happened to him. The boy's family was shocked when they heard about what had happened to their child. In a fit of anger, the boy's older brother went outside to look for the monster who had raped his younger brother. He wanted to avenge his brother, but all his efforts went to waste, and he did not find anyone. They immediately went to the police station and reported the assault on their child. The police took the details of the unknown man, but unfortunately, there was nothing that could lead them to him. The incident had a severe psychological impact on Muhammad. He was unable to leave the house or go to school, and he avoided socializing with others. Muhammad started having nightmares during his sleep, and his life was turned upside down. After the incident with Muhammad, reports of sexual assault in the area increased. Unfortunately, Muhammad was not the only child who had experienced such abuse. In 2007, the father of a 6-year-old boy reported that his child had been playing outside when a stranger approached and attempted to lure him away by offering to buy him a toy. The child followed the man, and he took him to an unfinished building where he tied him up and sexually assaulted him. Likewise, as in the case of Muhammad, unfortunately, owing to the young age of the child, the police were unable to obtain any details about the culprit or any evidence that could lead them to the perpetrator. In the same year, a 7-year-old girl was sexually assaulted while playing in front of her apartment building. In this case, the suspect did not try to lure the child away or deceive her. Instead, he directly dragged her to the roof and threatened her with a knife before sexually assaulting her. The girl told her family what had happened to her, and they immediately reported the incident to the authorities. Another girl fell victim to this predator. This time, the girl was asked a question by the unknown assailant and was then led to another location where she was sexually assaulted. These heinous acts continued to be a reminder of the monster's presence and the need for caution. Following these incidents, another alarming news arrived. A young child of 11 years old was sexually assaulted by an unknown suspect. The boy reported that the suspect had approached him and asked for help in reading an address and guiding him to the location. The predator then took the boy to an unfinished house and sexually assaulted him at gunpoint. The predator chose his victims between the ages of 6 and 13 years, making it extremely difficult for the police to find anything useful. In another incident, one child attempted to resist the assailant, but the perpetrator hit him and took the child's phone away. He then proceeded to sexually assault him as well. As the number of reported cases of sexual assault on children in the Al-Salmiya area and surrounding regions increased, particularly targeting children between the ages of 6 and 13. The number of complaints reached 18 cases. The police were able to obtain some samples from the victims and sent them to the laboratories for analysis. Unfortunately, they did not find anything useful. The police concluded that the man was an unknown entity who was targeting non-Kuwaiti children due to their increased presence in the area. Anxiety spread throughout the region, and parents began to prohibit their children from leaving the house. Many rumors spread in the area, and the phrase, "a monster will come to you if you leave the house," became widespread. People began to use this phrase as a warning to children. The unknown man was referred to as the monster in the area. The pressure increased on the police, investigation grew, and the patrols intensified throughout the area. Security measures became more apparent and noticeable. The police tried to collect the descriptions given by the children, and they realized that all the descriptions matched, revealing that the individual was Egyptian, of dark complexion, and had a broken front tooth. He was short in stature with an athletic physique. All the victims without exception agreed on these same characteristics. The police enlisted the help of a forensic artist to sketch a detailed portrait of the offender. They distributed the drawings in newspapers and magazines and asked police officers to inform the public about the search for the monster. Here is a news clip featuring retired Brigadier General Fahd al-Dosari discussing some of the measures taken regarding the case.
رحت وجلست مع الله يذكره بالخير فريق غازي العمر كان وقتها وكيل مساعد شؤون الامن الجنائي وقعدنا مع بعض قلت له يا ابو عبد الوهاب هذه القضيه بهذا التعامل ما نقدر نستطيع ان نحلها نحتاج الى طبيب نفسي جنائي نقعد وياه ونعطيه المعطيات اللي كان وقتها قعدنا مع الدكتور عبد الله قلت شو تقول لنا يا دكتور عبد الله قال اقول لكم الاتي الشخص هذا اول شيء ذميم الخلق يعني شويه بشع قوي الجسم طبعا كان يقول بناء على شنو بناء على روايه الشهود قوي البنيه على اي اساس قال قوي البنيه
قالوا متين شوي
قال لانه كان يشيل الطفل عمره 6-7 سنوات من الدور الارضي الى الدور السابع وهو شايله دون ان يتعب الشخص هذا ما عنده سياره شلون عرفت من خلال شلون يعني يصيد الاطفال الشخص هذا كذلك مو اجتماعي منطوي تم نشر الرسمه التغريبيه صباح يوم الاربعاء في وسائل الاعلام في جرايد الكويت.
During this time, the brother of the first victim was still on the hunt for the monster who had raped his brother. He was unable to forget what had happened and vowed not to let the perpetrator go unpunished. He even quit his job and dedicated himself to monitoring the streets. There was daily news about the monster in the neighborhood, and one day while Muhammad's brother was walking in the streets, he noticed a child crying in the street, and there was a man holding him. The man holding the child was a perfect match for the police sketch, so he immediately headed towards him and said, "What do you want to do to the child? What do you want in the little child?" In response, the man said, "There's nothing wrong." Muhammad's brother was suspicious and quite certain that the offender was in front of him. When he tried to grab him directly, the man let go of the child and left. The child ran away crying, and Muhammad's brother chased after him. However, he was surprised by two men who restrained him and prevented him from pursuing him. Muhammad's brother struggled to break free and catch him, but it was in vain, and unfortunately the man managed to escape. Muhammad's brother went directly to the police station and reported what happened. The police summoned the two men and questioned them. The reason they stopped Muhammad's brother from pursuing the man was that they saw a man running away and chasing the man without realizing, and for no reason they stopped him. Unfortunately, the man managed to escape. Hours after Muhammad's brother from the police, a report was registered against the unknown offender, violated the sexual abuse of a girl in the same area. Several days passed, and in the first time, the police obtained a lead that would take them to the perpetrator. In 2007, an anonymous call was received from a sports club, reporting that an Egyptian man working there had harassed a child, leading to a confrontation between the man and the child's parents. The police immediately went to the location and asked about the person involved. They learned that he had been fired several days ago, and by pure chance, they found his photo at the club. When they compared the photo with the police sketch, they found that the photo and the illustration looked very similar. The police retrieved the man's address, and upon arriving at his home, they found a man who informed them that he had collected all his belongings and would be taking a flight out today. The airport authorities were alerted, and they confirmed that the person was on the plane and had booked a flight to Egypt. The police acted quickly and rushed to the airport. The plane was about to take off in 5 minutes, so one of the investigators intervened and stopped the takeoff, taking full responsibility and assuming the consequences. The investigators boarded the plane and took with them only the photo they had retrieved from the club. The investigators spread out among the passengers, looking for the offender. One of the investigators approached a passenger and asked, "Are you Haj al-Saidi?" The passenger replied, "Yes, I am Haj al-Saidi," and the investigators immediately arrested him, just 5 minutes before the plane was scheduled to take off. 5 minutes stood between catching the criminal and taking revenge for the victims, or letting him escape forever. This marked the beginning of a new and more difficult stage of interrogation with the most notorious child rapist in Kuwait, known as the Monster of the Neighborhood. Haj al-Saadi, an Egyptian man aged 27, was a bodybuilder with a hobby for physical fitness. He entered Kuwait in 2005 on a work contract as an electrician, but failed in his job and later became a trainer at a private sports club. There he practiced his deviant and repulsive habit, waiting on the streets for children returning from school or walking to the store, or playing alone in front of their homes. Haj al-Saadi kept track of news about himself in the newspapers and kept a close eye on police movements. After each crime, he waited until the situation calmed down before returning and repeating the same acts. His identity was accidentally discovered by one of his fellow club members. A dispute broke out at the club between Haj and the father of the child. The dispute was resolved between them, and the child's father did not report the incident. However, the matter was not left to rest, as there were rumors circulating in the club that Haj was the monster of the neighborhood because of his resemblance to the police sketch, and the evidence was further enhanced when he sexually harassed a child at the club. A club employee reported this to the police. Haj confessed to not remembering the number of children he had assaulted, stating that the number was higher than 15, but the number of cases registered at the police station was over 18. Most of the victims were of Egyptian nationality. Haj confessed that he had used his strength to overpower and immobilize the victims, and that he had chosen children because they were easier to catch than females, as more boys went out in the street than girls. He informed police officers that he had been sexually abused in his childhood, which is why he now felt remorse for what he had did to the children, as he knew how much it affected the child's psyche. DNA samples taken from Haj were matched with samples found on the victim's clothing, and the results proved to be a match. It is important to mention that DNA samples taken from the victim's clothing were compared with over 260 suspects, including those with criminal records, but none of them matched, except for Haj. During a confrontation with some of the children, they were able to identify him and confirm that he was the same person who had assaulted them. Due to the enormity of his crime and the suffering he inflicted on innocent children, the court issued 5 death sentences, each for a different case, which meant that he would be executed 5 times. He was also sentenced to 3 life imprisonment terms. This was the first time such a sentence had been given out in Kuwait, and people were so happy that they were setting off fireworks across the entire region of Aroundai on the very day the sentences were issued. Haj remained in the central prison for 6 years before his execution. Shortly before he was to be executed, his mother visited him with a delegation from the Egyptian embassy, and she stayed with him for 2 days, which was the last time they would see each other. Finally, after a continuous period of 18 months of abuse that lasted until 2007, the execution sentence was carried out in 2013. On the way to the place of execution, he was constantly reciting, "Hello, welcome to heaven." Before being executed, he was asked what his last wish was. He stated that he wished he could get his hands on the Egyptian ambassador because of their lack of attention to him. Haj attempted to deny all the charges against him, claiming that he had initially confessed due to pressure and torture. One of the diplomats present in Kuwait confirmed the fairness and accuracy of the investigation process, especially as the Egyptian Foreign Ministry had closely followed the case from start to finish. Here we will show you footage before his execution and the moment the sentence was pronounced.
اتهمت النيابة العامة المحكوم عليه حجاج محمد عادل السعدي مصري الجنسية في الجناية رقم 182 على 2007 حصر نيابة حولي 51 على 2007 جنايات الجابرية أنه في يوم 8/2/2007 بدائرة مخفر شرطة الجابرية محافظة حولي 1 خطف المجني عليها البالغة من العمر 6 سنوات عن طريق القوة بقصد هتك عرضها. أصدرت محكمة الجنايات حكما حضوريا بمعاقبة المتهم حجاج محمد عادل السعدي بالإعدام شنقا، وذلك عما أسند إليه من اتهام.
Despite the horrors of the monster's crimes, justice prevailed in the end. Through the joint efforts of the authorities and the courage of the victims to come forward, a dangerous offender was brought to justice. The case served as a reminder of the importance of protecting children and ensuring their safety. Don't forget to follow me on my social media accounts, which are available in the description box. See you in the next video. Bye bye.